During a family hiking trip, our 6-year-old daughter Agnes goes missing. Despite calling her name, there's no sign of her. My husband, Zeke, blames me for taking my eyes off her and coldly tells me to find her myself. In the chaos, he drives off alone. I shout for him to wait, but he doesn't listen. Left alone in the woods and filled with dread, worried about what might happen to Agnes. I'm Marley, 35 years old. Agnes, a kind and adorable 6-year-old, had insisted on the hiking trip. Zeke, who usually dislikes family outings, surprisingly suggested it. Zeke, my age, is domineering and doesn't listen, a trait that has always bothered me. I wasn't thrilled about the hike due to my recent asthma troubles. Zeke insisted that clean air would help, disregarding my opinion. During the 2-hour drive to the mountain, Agnes happily collected acorns and pine cones for me. Despite my exhaustion, Zeke and Agnes went ahead. Zeke, usually lazy on his days off, was oddly excited. After 30 minutes, I requested a slower pace due to my asthma. But Zeke and Agnes got further away. Running low on stamina, I considered going at my own pace, thinking Agnes was safe with Zeke. Another 30 minutes later, I found Zeke, but Agnes was missing. When I asked, Zeke mentioned she wanted to explore further and ran off. Concerned, he pointed to a direction full of dense trees, and the path wasn't clear. I urgently need to find Agnes. It's getting dangerous. I call out desperately for her, but there's no response. After about 20 minutes, I return to where Zeke was, only to find him chatting with a young woman in her 20s. I ask about Agnes, and the woman mentions she saw a young girl walking towards the parking lot. Zeke decides to head down the mountain with her, leaving me to keep searching in the woods. I search in the direction Agnes went, and it's eerily quiet. I realize I haven't seen many people since we arrived, except for that woman. Worried, I call out to Agnes, but my voice seems to be swallowed by the woods. Zeke isn't answering his phone, and my cell has no service. Not knowing what else to do, I go back to the parking lot and find Zeke chatting with the woman, both smiling. I assume Agnes must have been found, but Zeke says she wasn't there. Frustrated, I can't understand why Zeke is so relaxed when Agnes is still missing. He brushes off my concern, blaming me for losing her, and decides to go home, leaving me behind. I try to chase after him, but it's too late. He's already out of sight. Even when I call him, he doesn't answer. The young woman is gone, and no cars are left. As the sun sets, I realize I'm alone, and it'll be dark soon. Worried about Agnes, I go back into the woods, searching for over an hour without hearing anything. The wheezing in my throat grows stronger, and I'm struggling to breathe. Realizing it's pointless to search alone, I decide to call the police. Unfortunately, I can't get a signal. After a desperate attempt to find one, I finally reach the police, only to learn that Agnes has been safely found by a passerby. I hail a taxi to go pick her up. As soon as Agnes sees me, she runs to me crying, relieved that I'm okay. I check if she's hurt, and she assures me she's fine but scared. I apologize to her, and despite the relief, I can't stop coughing. Agnes gently rubs my back, expressing concern. We decide to go to the hospital for my asthma treatment. Fortunately, it's not severe, and I start feeling better after using the inhaler. However, Agnes drops a bombshell, revealing that one of Dad's friends told her about a place with beautiful flowers. She was with this person, and suddenly she found herself alone. I inquire about the woman's appearance, and Agnes shows me a picture she took with her toy camera. It's of a young woman who was with Zeke earlier, and they seemed more than just friends. The shock makes me feel dizzy, and I crouch down. My brother Tan had recently moved in nearby, and Zeke was unaware that our house was visible from there. When I arrived, Zeke's car was missing, and the house was dark and quiet. Wondering where he could be, I called him on my phone. Annoyed, Zeke answered, asking what I wanted. I confronted him about leaving us behind, and he casually mentioned that Agnes was safe, but his asthma had worsened, and he would be hospitalized for about a week. Despite my mistrust, I expressed relief that Agnes was safe and wished him well. However, Zeke's unapologetic and blatantly lying demeanor deepened my mistrust. He didn't even inquire about which hospital I was in. I suspected he might be with the woman from the mountains, planning something awful. Despite my burning rage, I decided to wait until I could uncover the truth. Agnes is worried about me, and I assure her I'm fine. Determined not to let Zeke get away with this, I decide to dig deep. I turn off my phone's location, and we head to my brother's nearby apartment to stay, starting from that day. Zeke came home late that night and left for work at his usual time the next morning. In the meantime, I purchased a small security camera and installed it indoors. The camera allowed me to view footage, including audio, directly on my phone. Now I had Zeke under surveillance. One night, I saw the woman from the mountains walking into our house. They started having dinner and drinking wine in the living room, getting touchy-feely. Witnessing this made me nauseous. Zeke had taken advantage of my sickness to take her to the mountains, and now he saw the week I would be in the hospital as an opportunity for their enjoyment. The woman referred to him as boss, indicating a sinister plan to relax without anyone disturbing them. Being together at work is uncomfortable, but you always say the thrill makes it better. Unfortunately, it turns out his affair partner is a subordinate at his workplace, and they seem to be up to something suspicious. It's unforgettable, and I can't believe it. They were happily laughing and hugging. This is my chance to catch them in the act. Leaving my brother's house quietly, I approached my own home. Confirming they were in the middle of their affair, I started recording on my phone. Then, with a loud noise, I opened the door. They were caught off guard, unable to separate. In the midst of their agony, I've gone past shock and now just feel pathetic. I called an ambulance, and as sirens wailed, a crowd gathered outside our home because Zeke and the woman were screaming so loudly that neighbors took notice. Covered only with bed sheets, they were loaded into the ambulance. As his wife, I followed them to the hospital. Not long after arriving and receiving medical attention, Zeke and his mistress were released. The doctor said they were free to go, so the two of them shivered on a hospital bench wrapped only in sheets as they had no clothes. It was pathetic. When asked when he got out of the hospital, Zeke revealed he was never admitted in the first place. I had been keeping tabs on them from my brother's new apartment, which had a clear view of our house. Sighing, I handed them hospital pajamas borrowed from the nurse's station. I couldn't bear to watch their disgrace any longer. They hurriedly put on the pajamas, and in the midst of the situation, I questioned how long this had been going on, but they insisted that I got it all wrong. She just came to drop off some work documents. Oh, really? I tell Zeke about what I heard from Agnes and show him the picture she took. This is you left Agnes alone in the mountains just to get cozy with her, didn't you? That's not true. She was gone when I realized it. Zeke tries to play dumb as I replay the conversation I heard between them in the living room. Both Zeke and the woman are clearly shaken. Still going to deny it? Well, about that. I can't believe you waited for me to be away to meet up with her. What's wrong with you? I look at Zeke, seeing his lack of remorse, and feel my feelings for him dwindling away. I'll never forgive you for putting Agnes in danger. Let's get a divorce. Divorce? Why? How can you even ask that? If you're so well matched with her, then just go be with her. I glare at the woman sitting next to me, and she glares back. She tries to intertwine her arm with Zeke's. However, Zeke shakes off her arm and grabs my hand. I was just messing around with her. I never intended to ruin our family, and to be honest, it was painful and awful. So, I'm breaking up with her. The woman's face contorts like a demon's, and she slaps Zeke across the face. Are you kidding me? What are you saying? Enough. I'm tired of women who are only younger. That's cruel. You said you'd marry me after you divorce. Watching their quarrel unfold, I'm beyond disgusted. Both the woman, who knew he was married, and Zeke, who would surely repeat this behavior, are to blame. Cut it out.
This is a hospital. Keep it down. Finally, both quiet down at my scolding. It seems like they both need a heavy dose of self-reflection. You better prepare yourself. I'm reporting you to the police for abandoning me and our young daughter in the mountains when I was sick. What? Is that a crime? Zeke asks incredulously. Of course it is. Yikes, please give me a break. Just forget the police. Both suddenly backtrack, looking up at me apologetically. Although they're saying sorry, their hearts aren't in it. I bet that's not all. I want the house sold for the division of property and $30,000 for infidelity compensation. Don't forget the child support for Agnes. Please forgive me. I'm sorry, Zeke pleads. And you, who laid hands on Zeke, owe me $30,000 in damages as well, I state firmly. We can't afford that, the woman protests. Not my problem. You'll have to take out loans. Oh God, if you've learned anything, stay away from men with families. Got it. Please rethink this. Zeke suddenly bows down to the floor in apology, and the woman hastily follows suit. What is there to rethink now? I look down on both of them with disdain. No way. I'll inform your company about this as well. Goodbye. This is the worst. I left Zeke and his affair partner yelling and immediately went to the police to file a report. Soon after, they were both arrested for abandonment charges related to me and my daughter, Agnes. According to my lawyer, it's going to be a pretty serious offense for them. Zeke and his mistress lost their jobs as a result. I finalized the divorce and made them pay the affair settlement and child support in one lump sum. With the money from selling our house, I was even able to get a settlement from the mistress paid from her severance package. As I was considering moving out of the apartment, Tun, who had been so helpful, said, I worry about you and Agnes living on your own. Why don't you stay here with me? Taking him up on his kind offer, I'm now happily spending each day with my loving daughter and beloved brother. Perhaps because my stress has gone down, my asthma attacks have also stopped, and I'm feeling great now.